considering, you know, yesterday we couldn't get into game for some reason. We got kicked out and we couldn't snapshot the pick and ban phase. So we are borrowing a slide from our friends at Vietnam Esports Garena, of course. The picks and bans for today, or rather the game 2.
So for the Ultimate, not shying away with their wombo combo, still going with the equalizer into the Frozen Bola with the Rumble Sintrani for themselves, and Bangkok Titans once again tried and tested. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. With the Lissandra Jarvan, but this time G4 with the Zed being banned out. He's going to be going for the Cassiopeia instead.
Yeah, I feel like the Zed ban here really smart, just not giving G4 what he needs. The LeBlanc as well as Zed, you know, just targeted at this assassin specialist mid laner. But picking up that cast, something we've seen him play in the first week of Group Stage 2 to great effect. Normally what BKT likes to do with this composition is find very early skirmishes to get stacks on his poison. And when he gets to that 250 stack point, that's when BKT just, you know, all hell breaks loose for them. They start going ham for those great big team fights.
I mean, at this point of time, for Armford Ultimate, B1 has returned to play into bottom lane, but things are looking a little bit grim for them. But we have to see if they are able to adapt to the previous mistakes from the previous game and bring us a better game too, without hope.
What they do have going for them is, as you mentioned, the Rumble Equalizer into the Glacial Prison from Tarzan, but they piled on a bit more hyper carry now. Instead of the Tristana is the Jinx, who, in all honesty, is easier to get resets with the Super Mega Death Rocket. Take the enemy down to about 40%, pop them with the Super Mega Death Rocket, and just go ham with the Pow Pow Fish Bones. In addition, Morgana with the Black Shield and Thresh with the Flays will be easier for B1 to just kind of play more aggressive than he normally would.
So with that, we will be heading into game, and let's take a look at how both of these teams play out. So on the blue side, we have BKT, and on the red side, disadvantages of being on rebroadcast, but nonetheless, we will be borrowing from the Vietnamese stream, so a little bit of the text and language will be in Vietnamese. On the red side, we will be seeing finally APU on for the Ultimate with Tarzan on the Sejuani, Rumble in the top lane being played by Nas, and Imba, the new mid laner. Do you believe he swapped him out for Lucifer?
Yeah.
I'm playing the Morgana with an exhaust as well against the Cassiopeia. Rather interesting. Cassiopeia went for the cleanse as well, so the Morgana letting the Dark Binding wouldn't be all that too devastating for the Bangkok Titans.
Yeah, I believe we were talking about this. I had a very hot streak playing Cassiopeia and solo queue, and you were asking me, you know, why do you pick up cleanse? And the main reason is to allow you to cleanse off any crowd control and flash forward, use the petrifying gaze and re-engage for a team, locking members of the enemy team up. And if in a 1v1 duel in the mid lane you get exhausted, you can cleanse that away as well and find your very early solo kills. Of course, the power spike from G4 coming at level 2, very strong.
APU on the other hand, they have the Morgana as well as the Trash. If they're able to land any of those skill shots, it will be a very good way for the rest of the team to start the fight. Now Bangkok Titans, they will be hovering around the top side of the map once again. They will be going for this lane swap with the Grace headed up to the top lane. The Jen are just hanging around the top side for now. Once again, we have to see what Valen will be going for on this Janna support. Will he be going for the level 2 into wards, or to join the jungle top laner and go for the very early gank? But it was going to spot him out.
Similarly to the previous game, it should be the early ganks onto Imba. I think because of the lane bully presence of Cassiopeia, if you can put a bit of pressure on the Morgana, you force an early flash or exhaust, and that gives G4 a huge lead, which we saw him on Zed the previous game run away with. In this instance, going to harass the enemy junglers just a bit. Ness and Tarzan going to get spotted out by this Valen Janna here. On the back line is 7X and Warlock grouping up to give him a bit of assistance.
Oh, in fact, this red buff is going to be delayed so much. BKT now turning around. They have the man advantage onto this one. It is going to reset, however, so BKT, well, it looked like a rather slick steal, will be delayed in the end as APU, they will just be backing away from this buff.
Yeah, Tier not really around to help out. 2v1 in the bot lane results in the red buff going over to BKT, so not going to get that 2 buff start right now for APU. Very tricky early game coming from the Titans. I really enjoy this, seeing as how with Rumble, your double jungle isn't as efficient as it normally is, say with a Maokai or a Hecarim or a Dr. Mundo, and that's really harassed the early clear, or rather hampered the early clear of APU.
Now, for Ultimate, they will be sending the members down back into the bottom side of the map. So the lanes of the Bangkok Titans, they've consolidated map control on the top side, picked up both buffs in those jungle areas, and for Ultimate for themselves, they will be trying to take back as many buffs as possible. Currently, Tarzan haven't hasn't picked up any buffs for himself just yet. G4 tries to go into Imba. He does land the Dark Binding. Imba trading back and forth with the damage so far, but G4 is out of mana. The Tormentor Soil, not the most devastating spell, but pretty good at shoving out the wave nonetheless.
Twin Fangs should give him back enough mana, considering it gives you back a percentage of your missing mana. I think it's 3% at this point. So once he hits that level up point and he spams Twin Fangs a bit more, should be able to trade against Morgana in just a bit. Valen doing such a good job, even though he's level 1, to get vision down for his team and spot out where Tarzan is. It's going to be a 4 buff start for BKT here, taking away both red buff and blue buff.
I mean, I have to wonder, are they going to be giving the blue buff over to Warlock and then sending him to deal and break with the freeze the B1 has set up for himself? They have quite a strong man advantage on the bottom side of the map at the moment, so a gank or maybe even a dive from the B1 is entirely possible.
Yeah, the one ward there will spot them walking across. 3 members of BKT in the mid lane. Imba still playing very aggressively for it. They're setting up a counter gank with Tarzan and Tyr in the back, but I don't think they're going to go for this gank here.
Now Tarzan, despite being invaded so heavily, he was still able to hit that level 3, just clearing out the camps in the state. Now, with the Season 5 jungle, the buffs don't give all that much EXP, and actually picking up the other jungle camps can give you quite a fair bit of experience and gold as well.
Prepping the gank here in the mid lane. G4 overextended. Here comes Nest, Tyr, and Tarzan. 4-man gank in, 3-man gank in the mid lane. G4 has to run away. Hook might not connect. Uses the slow, the flash, the black shield, all not connecting. G4. One flash traded over for multiple on the side of APU. Very well deserved there.
G4 dodges out the gang rather well. He spots them coming in, but now Tyr is in the trouble as double X goes in onto him. G4 tries to go in for the counter engage as well. Is the Dark Binding able to land? The Sejuani has to flash out the dead one in, but just way too low mana at the moment. Tyr does land the hook, and here comes the Rumble as well. Double X still rather healthy, but here comes Valen to support level 2 only at this point of time. That is the end of the scuffle in the mid lane. No kills over to either team.
G4 heavily misplayed that small skirmish, using the cleanse way too late, and his damage got stifled, not allowing him to pick up Tarzan when he was backing off, and gank once again, forcing Imba to flash away in the mid lane. The focus for BKT here, once again, gonna be getting G4 a hit. And in the lane swap scenario, it looks to be that BKT gets a lot of pressure for 7X while sacrificing Warlock. Once again, double the CS on Nest compared to Warlock.
But Warlock has still been able to pick up some fair bit of experience for himself, and now with the lane being pushed out against Bangkok Titans, now this is where it starts to become more difficult for Nas, and we actually see BKT responding to all of this by going for a dragon of their own.
BKT, if they pick up that dragon, gonna come out ahead of that lane swap definitively. Warlock choosing not to go into the bot lane despite it being frozen or pushed up. Instead gonna help his team with the dragon buff. Dragon objective rather.
Now this bottom lane will be pushing out against Bangkok Titans. A dive is definitely possible, but the jungle is just way out of position at the moment. Warlock will be getting a nice chunk of experience coming in from this wave under the turret.
Yeah, if he macros this wave properly, he could actually freeze it there indefinitely, but it looks like he's not gonna sit there and tank the damage to prep the freeze. B1 and Tyr both recalling, and Warlock just once again pick up a lot of experience, as you mentioned. Early scrying up here for this Jinx.
But meanwhile, on the top lane, Nas was able to go unchecked with lots of farm as well. Going up against the AD carrier of Lloyd, now at level 6, because of the lane swap, the collateral damage is going to be coming true for Bangkok Titans.
At the end of the day, despite the lane swap, gold still even by both from both teams. No massive lead being taken by either team here.
Very slow, controlled early game. We did see some scuffles in the middle lane, but once again here with the roam, both mid laners doing a pretty fair job of dodging out the ganks, and this is what happens when you have a Morgana in the middle lane. He led the Dark Binding. Yes, there's potential for the gank, but other than that, the potential for explosiveness in the mid lane is just nothing compared to the Orianna Z that we were seeing in the previous one.
Yeah, Tarzan with the pink ward and green ward here should be pinking the side brush in mid lane to allow for more ganks coming in from Tyr and himself. Not particularly sure why he's not doing that. Normally when you place a lot of pressure in the mid lane, you want to clear out the opponent's vision to facilitate even more effective ganks, but instead not doing that too well. A bit greedy with the timings on his wards.
It is rather interesting about how these teams they try to guess where the opponent's wards are by just counting where the support appears and about where do you think support will be rewarding in relation to what you're shown on the map, as well as a game of controlled vision, and especially in the lane sub scenario with all these things happening around the map? It's just imperative that they get the right amount of wards and get the right reads as to what vision that their opponents have.
Speaking of reads, Double 7X doing that perfectly. We talked about them being rather cerebral junglers, both Double 7X and Tarzan. Well, looks like Double 7X coming out heavily in this matchup, managing to steal away some of the camps from Tarzan here, and even getting deep vision down for his team.
Picks up the Raptors as well, just being so aggressive on this Jarvan, wanting to bully out the Sejuani, stealing the red buff, stealing the blue buff, and then his opponent's camps as well. 007X, we see him moving up into the top lane. We might see an engage over there. Ness does spot him out by dropping a ward, but the Raptor buff is going to allow him to clear that out. We have to see 007X decides to stay around, but we see him starting a recall. We might see him go for the Warriors Enchantment here. Does land a hook onto Lloyd B1 there with the follow-up. Lloyd gets locked up by the Flame Chompers. Exhausted on both AD carries. The Super Mega Death Rocket gets dodged out, and Amphit ultimately dropped to the support. Lloyd and Vela now on the chase. Flashes forward, being exchanged by B1 as well. Is Lloyd able to get this one? Tarzan comes forward. He does drop the Frozen Bola, but the collateral damage is just good, and he picks up the double kill.
Yeah, Lloyd massively outplaying members of APU there in the bot lane. First, quick drawing out the Super Mega Death Rocket, and then flashing away from the engage in Tarzan to buckshot B1 in the face. Picks up an early double kill, 91 CS to 83. Gonna be able to base and pick up majority of his Infinity Edge here. A great early advantage being taken by the Bangkok Titans. Look at this, just quick drawing away so well, despite the exhaust being on him, and micros the damage, collateral damage in the face, and then they turn on here. Here is where the coordination is so good. He forces the flash, knows that he has backup, and decides to flash away and turn the damage straight onto B1.
Just a true display of skill coming from Lloyd over there. The outplay is coming in to pick up the
and
kill.
I was saying how in the previous game when it was ending, APU has to be able to ban out those comfort picks from BKT, and not banning out this Graves, very questionable because in the previous fight he was left unchecked. But hold on, in the mid lane BKT, G4 uses the petrifying gaze, manages to catch Imba. He's kiting so well, will pick up one kill for himself. Will he kite away from Tarzan? One turret shot to the face, Tarzan landing the slow, the flash away. He's still kiting Tarzan with the Arctic Assault, will pick up the second kill, or excuse me, the kill in return.
So a 1-for-1 in the mid lane happens, but we do see 007X falling on the side as well to Ness.
Yeah, will fall over to Ness. Net gain though, 4-2 at the point in time now where BKT is starting to ramp up, and this is what they want to. This is what APU wants to avoid. When the Cassiopeia gets an early lead, it becomes very troublesome to deal with.
I mean, the mid-game power spike for Bangkok Titans is definitely going to be very strong. Warlock once again going for the Roll of Ages on the Lissandra. 007X. This is where things started to go out of control for Amphit Ultimate the previous game. We have to see Bangkok Titans will be able to repeat that.
The tricky thing about the APU composition is that a lot of their champions take a while to ramp up. You have to get that Sword Boots into Haunting Guys for Nest to deal a good amount of damage. You need not just a Juggernaut enchantment, but a good amount of HP to become relevant. And for B1 S-Jinx, she's more reliant on her items than levels. So APU, if they keep losing their early to mid-game fights like this and give the lead over to BKT, it's very troublesome to dig themselves out of the hole they've jumped in.
Warlock taking a nice comfortable CS lead over Ness over all these exchanges. The Raw Ages will be completed in another 2 minutes or so, and G4 and 007 grouped up in the mid lane right now. Very interesting that G4 would go for the Hextech Revolver to be able to pick up some additional sustain. And here we go on to Imba, the ultimates all coming out, but the dive is good, and BKT pick up the kill in the mid laner.
Yeah, they waste teleport from Ness as well, so that's on cooldown now. Imba overestimating his ability to stay alive there. Just the burst coming from G4 and 7X. Do bear in mind, Black Shield does not reduce the flank and drag Cataclysm damage, so just melting instantly. That's a turret over to BKT, the first of this game. Can APU respond with anything though?
Dragon number 2 is available, and BKT, they're just rotating towards that one. They know they killed the mid laner. Morgana nowhere near to back this one up. Trash as we call as well. BKT with the priority on the Dragon, and APU, they have no intention of contesting that one. Dragon number 2 goes over to the Bangkok Titans.
They will have a relative time on that Dragon, considering the Scuttlecrab Speed Shrine was alive when they attempted it, so in a 30-second range is the knowledge of APU right now. Tarzan gonna steal away the blue buff, knowing that Jarvan was around the bot side. Great take considering G4 as Cassiopeia, very heavy mana consumption before he completes that Sarah's Embrace, or before the tier starts stacking up.
So the tier about, I do believe it should about be at 200, 300 right now. The
Yeah,
tier
it would
should
be around the
at about
370
300 then.
range.
Yep.
B1 getting challenged by Lloyd here. So much damage to the face. Buckshot collateral damage will finish him off here. Instead, chooses to save it, or rather, doesn't have it available. So just a massive outplay there with the gold and level lead that he had.
I mean, at this point of time, Grace with the BF Sword, in fact, going for the Berserker's Greaves at this situation. And in fact, he doesn't even need to use summoner spells in the fight. Just completely outduels B1, who's struggling to even finish his own Infinity Edge.
1000 spots out Valen, 7X, and company there.
But
The flank
here
coming
comes
from Warlock is good though.
Is he able to find it? Nope, he isn't. Rumble repels him with the Flame Spitter. Fire Beat's Eyes.
Yeah, Fire Beats Isaac. He has to back off. They steal a buff, so it's going to be an even trade despite Tarzan taking the blue away. 7X answering very well to the challenges in his jungle, saying, Tarzan, you are not the king of the jungle after all.
Hiding in the brush out over here. Bangkok Titans just waiting. Trying to find out any members of Alpha Ultimate who stray a little bit too far. They might find here. Oh, the Penguin that spot him out. They do see the support. Is 7X going to go for this one? Or is this going to be the dive onto the Rumble? He grabs the Lantern. Dark Passage away to safety.
They will get the turret from this though, so despite not connecting with the dive, second or third turret of the game will go over to BKT, and that extends their goal lead to about 5,000, slightly under 5,000 gold. That is a massive advantage going to the mid game where APU has to ramp up, as I mentioned before, whereas 7X and company, the moment they get their core items, they are there.
Dark Binding being shot out by Imba, trying to catch out 7X. They're just setting up a camp and starting to construct buildings in their opponent's jungle at this point of time. Bangkok Titans just grabbing their map control away from their opponents and putting so much pressure on to Ness in the top lane.
Warlock gets spotted out here. They're setting up a trap here in range to hook him. Will he throw it out? Connects onto Warlock straight away with the
Equalizer
equalizer.
comes in as well. Arctic Assault will be going for it. Warlock does freeze himself up. Is the bait successful? He doesn't get the claw out of that one, but Imba knocked away. He doesn't get any much damage from the ultimate, and it is a none for none. Imba still taking away from the poison, but he will survive that one.
Yeah, Monsoon was popped to disengage, and that was what allowed BKT to escape safely, I believe. Glacial Prism was used from Sejuani to continue that fight, and that's a big ultimate from APU down, because without the equalizer, without the Glacial Prism, there's no way to force them off this turret. G4 is going so aggressive here.
Forward, he gets the Petrifying Gaze, slows down the rest of the opponent team. B1 just solo right now. The Red Buff is going to pick him up here. Now the next focus. The Noxious Burst does come in, but it's Graves who picks up the kill in the end.
Yeah, Lloyd just powering up so fast here. 5-0 and 1. And like I mentioned, without your big ultimates up, APU has to back off. They can't overestimate their level of damage, and BKT recognized that and just brute forced that fight and won it. Let's take a look at the replay here. Catching B1 out, forcing him out of the fight so quickly, and G4 just moving forward aggressively to get the rest of his team. Lloyd just left unchecked, able to deal so much damage with the current item set that he has.
So that is an inhibitor falling in the favor of the Bangkok Titans for the ultimate. Now they have to be careful. 8,000 go down at 16 minutes. You definitely do not want to be in that kind of situation.
Both teams run a semi-scaling composition, and BKT is coming out ahead, and that's very scary for APU, because look at this Jinx here. The majority of the damage is on her in the late game, 0-3 and 0. Not even completing the Infinity's Edge. Very big hole and power trough that APU is in now.
You could say that definitely APU, there's just no hope for them.
Yeah, honestly, might be calling it a bit too early, but as you put it, in all fairness, no hope for them at this point.
That's what you get when you sub out a guy named Hope for B1.
Without any
so
hope.
Imba goes in on the G4. Equalizer is good so far. G4 is going to fall. And here comes the Super Mega Death Rocket, just barely missing out. It is the shutdown onto the Graves, and they pick up 3 for nothing on for ultimate. Suddenly find themselves
It's the curse, J-Storm.
getting
Just
a little
as
bit
we
of momentum
say,
back in the
no
game.
hope. They pick up a bit of momentum, and right now 9-5. They close the goal gap just by a bit, but it's still 6,000 gold. Let's not neglect the fact that 6,000 gold is at least 2 very big core items for BKT's core members here.
The Magi has been built on the Janna. We
Man.
have to see how many stacks that will be going to. 5-1 and 1 on the Graves, as well as Static Shift, as well as Infinity Edge. The Jinx, despite getting none of the assists, doesn't even have any items, and Ness gets locked up by Warlock in the top lane. Will Warlock be able to juke out this one? He does not get the kill onto Ness, and on for the ultimate, suddenly they find themselves 4 kills, getting 4 free kills out of
Bit
nowhere.
of hubris by BKT here, very sloppy. I was about to commend them about how clean their game moves were today, but I think being a bit too overconfident and overextending, staying longer than their welcome period, results in them getting caught out. And with that, the vision on the map has been transferred from the top side, the red buff area, to the bottom side, knowing that Dragon will be up in a bit. Third Dragon for BKT here, extremely important. If you can get the flank from Jarvan and Lysandra and stop APU in their tracks, you will probably win the fight in the game.
So Baron will be spawning in 10 seconds, but I doubt any of these teams will be contesting the objective just yet. Usually we see that only about 23-24 minutes when the second core item is available for most of these champions. But speaking of core items, we do see the Saros Embrace on the way for the Cassiopeia, already Archangel stuff completed.
Yeah, I can't agree with this early pickup of the Liandry's Torment. Extremely cost inefficient, as well as not boosting the damage of your team as much as it would compared to a Void Staff or a Abyssal Scepter.
But Tyr gets caught out over here. Cataclysm lands onto Nas. The Equalizer catches some multiple members, but BKT, they have the man advantage, and they're just tearing through the fights right now. Valen has to cut away from that one. The rest of the team got locked up underneath their own Cataclysm, which was cancelled a little bit too late by Double 7X. The Dark Binding does miss G4 now on the chase. He gets the Noxious Blast. Chose up Twin Fang, and the additional movement speed is going to allow him to kite back and forth.
It's rather scary that one Twin Fang is equal to the whole Dark Black
but
Shield.
here comes Warlock. He catches out Imba. He gets the ultimate down. The Monsoon is coming for the healing. B1 on a whole bunch of trouble. G4 is just going to be picking him up. The Tarzan gets a return kill, but now it's his turn to be in a bunch of trouble. The Trash does get the save down with the Dark Passage. Throws out the Death Sentence as well. Major teleport coming in. Nas comes in. The Equalizer not available just yet. G4 as well as the rest of his crew has to back away.
End of the day, 1-4-2 for BKT. They're trading quite well, I would have to say, despite being so far ahead. Not getting the turret was a big issue, because when you're this far ahead, you have to push your advantage and pressure APU out. 7,000 gold ahead. They should be setting up sieges and winning team fights instead of overcommitting past turrets and trying to get kills. A bit too tunnely, I have to say.
4, 2, and 5 on the Cassiopeia. We see the Nidalee Rod being picked up as well. I do believe that will be formed into Sonya's Hourglass or Death Cap to be able to win all those team fights. So it's either team fighting presence or additional damage in those team fights.
It should be the Sonya's Hourglass, because when you play the Cassiopeia, if you get locked up, you need to buy some time with the Sonya's Hourglass for your team to come and join you, then use the Cleanse, and then Petrifying Gaze to counter engage. If you get blown up immediately, that's pointless, having the Cassiopeia who built so much damage.
Oh, Tyr gets caught out over here by Double 7X as well as Warlock. Warlock moves forward. There we go. The Flag and Drag as well as the Ring of Frost locks them up. Tarzan now tries to save his support, but 007X as well as Warlock, they find themselves overextended. And for the ultimate, they get a few bunch of return kills. B1 now on the chase onto Warlock. They throw down the slow. There is going to be a second shutdown coming in. And here comes the rest of Bangkok Titans. The Cassiopeia just cleaning up, and that's a 4-for-2. After Bangkok Titans is seen that they make a few mistakes.
Yeah, Lloyd just way too past the power curve at this point in time. One Calero damage chunked down 2 members of APU and cleaned them up. 4-for-2, very well traded, and they will get this tier 2 outer top lane turret. Moving on to the inhibitor turret, first one of the game could be theirs if they play this out properly. Very quick wave clear coming in from the side of BKT.
Just chunking down the tower right now, so much damage onto it. Bangkok Titans, that is going to be the second inhibitor for themselves. The mid lane one has respawned, and G4 already starting work onto it. Here, he's just at 30% of his health. He has got no business to be around here. They try to find Valen, but the disengage is good. They throw out the frozen bola. Lloyd now just cutting back and forth, but here comes the teleport from Warlock. The Black Shield has been dropped. It's going to be providing Tarzan some resistance to all the magic damage, but Lloyd gets locked up by Imba Mebio, and that is going to be the AD carry falling, but in the back lines, Warlock just getting multiple kills, and here comes G4. This Cassiopeia doing so much damage to Twin Fang comes out. The Poison Burst comes down. 7X gets some damage onto Imba, but the Dark Passage once again repeatedly saving out on for the ultimate.
The mid lane wave is pushing so hard, and those are 2 very important inhibitors down for APU. When they recall, BKT have the opportunity to close this game out with the next set of items coming in. And can I just say, in all honesty, this game, or this best of 2, BKT has been so methodical and so clean. Yes, we've seen a bit of hubris in the later portions of this game, but in terms of map control and just moving around, counter ganking and using the man advantage, BKT has done so well.
It's BKT now. They have lots of map control because of the super minions just pushing in the top and mid lane, and if this huge wave pushing in the bot side as well, and for the ultimate, they will have to be responding to all of these lanes, and that's going to be presenting Bangkok Titans the perfect opportunity to go for this Baron.
Go for the Baron indeed. 7X and Villain starting to clear up vision as a team. Tyr has to get the heck out of dodge here, doesn't want to get caught out. kill count getting padded here for 7X. APU has the opportunity to use the lantern if they want to spot it out safely, but I don't think that they want to even approach this Baron pit at any point in time.
Ardent sensor on the giant as well, so popping the monsoon before a fight, suddenly that does make sense.
Yeah, it really does, and not to mention the heal is just going to help them so much. She has, I believe, 11 Magi stacks at this point. Can't really see considering having mouse over, but 7X straight onto tier, uses the Cataclysm on Tarzan to get out.
It's jumping back and forth. Bangkok Titans, they didn't go for the Baron knowing that APU were ready to respond to that one, but they're going to be pressing out the lanes once again, making sure that they're able to secure a good net of vision down, and there we go. They finally need to start it up. Lloyd dashes into the pit as well with the quick draw, and Valen trying to clear out some wards. Tarzan trying to contest this as well. Oh, just showing the support over here is just buying them so much time, but the moment they see those purple icons appear around Valen, they know Baron has been completed.
Dude, this support is such a beast. Locking up 3 and 4 members of APU, keeping them busy in a world where your support is dueling out the enemy jungler. I think you are very comfortable in just pushing down the mid lane and ending the game.
Nope. We do see 9 stacks actually on the Janus Magi, so she
cost
did
efficient
die
already.
once.
Pretty good pickup.
Bangkok Titans hit down to the bot lane right now. That is the last lane with only the inhibitor, only remaining inhibitor for Ultimate still up. With this Baron buff, the siege coming in is definitely going to be very strong.
Yeah, the Titans here showing a lot more discipline, grouping up, sieging and ending the game out rather methodically and smartly, instead of just running blindly at APU and getting kills. They are sieging. G4 cleanse available, so he could use that to re-engage. Chose to go for the death cap for the damage instead of the Zonia's Hourglass. So very confident that he will not get blown up. Believes that APU has not enough damage to do that.
I mean, when you're 10,000 gold ahead, you can get away with quite some funky itemization.
Speaking of funky itemization, Ardent Sensor, man.
So whenever there's shields onto Lloyd as well, he's going to be receiving a 25% attack speed bonus for himself.
2 members in the mid lane have to clear out the super Baron up minions. They have been powered up by 7X.
Oh,
the flank
Warlock
coming
goes in. He gets the snare onto B1. The ultimate, we're still looking for Cataclysm on the 3 members. So much right now. The ultimate goes onto himself in the end from Warlock. 7X still alive. Lloyd comes in. Does he get the last bit of shots? He wants it, but he doesn't get it. Tarzan, the only member that survives on the Phat Ultimate squad, and it is going to be a 4-0, and that will be game as Bangkok Titans. The cleanup were rather fairly easy, 2-0 against the Phat Ultimate squad.
Congratulations to the BKT squad. I have to say, very methodical, outclassing APU here. Honestly, when it comes to experience, BKT do show that sticking in the Greener Premier League gives them the wealth of knowledge that they need to utilize the weaknesses that APU presented themselves with.
So Phat Ultimate kind of crumbled under the pressure. They went for those team fighting compositions. We did see some nice team fights and some attempts at a turnaround, but in the end, BKT, they come up with just better map rotations, and they take and close the series out 2-0 against Phat Ultimate.
So Bangkok Titans with those 3 points now, sitting happy at the top of the table, I believe. And for now, guys, we're going to go for a short break, and when you come back, it will be, I believe, HFL going up against
Zotac 269.
Yes.